Right now, there is an invisible war being fought on a digital battlefield. It's a war for information, for intelligence, for transformation, for certainty. This invisible war has extremely visible consequences. It impacts our friends, our families, and our way of life. That's why at Peraton, we do the can't be done. Because the alternative is unimaginable.
Please welcome the President of the Intelligence and National Security Alliance, Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg.
Thank you. Sorry. Taller than I thought I was. Anyway, good evening and welcome to the 2023 Achievement Awards. I hope you all enjoyed the welcome reception, courtesy of our event sponsor, Hawkeye 360. Round of applause for Hawkeye. Thank you. Tonight, we are delighted to recognize some extraordinary new leaders in intelligence, homeland, and national security. But before we get started, I want to acknowledge INSA's Intelligence Champions Council. Throughout the year, the Council works diligently to encourage careers in the intelligence and national security community, including significant behind-the-scenes work with this evening's program. I want to thank Council Chair Cameron Ward Hunt and Vice Chair Colleen Ecker for their service to INSA and support of this event. Additionally, seeing how there are so many youthful faces in the audience this evening, I would like to share that next week, INSA kicks off our scholarship program, where we will be awarding several scholarships, I think a total of 7 actually, to future leaders in the intelligence community, both undergraduate students as well as master's degree students. And for the first time ever, we will be awarding a scholarship for neurodiverse undergraduate students brought to us by RGI Federal in the amount of $10,000. So we made that announcement today. More details about our scholarship program can be found on our website. So it is now my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the stage my boss, INSA Chairwoman Tish Long.
Thank you, Suzanne. I can't see you over the podium. I know. Hey, Ellen, Chuck. Okay. I can see out there, and you can see me. And most importantly, I can see our recipients. But I can't see the amazing front row here. It is just such an amazing event tonight, and it's always so good to be here for this celebration, and it really is a celebratory evening. So thank you all for being here, because our 6 award recipients have made extraordinary contributions to U.S. intelligence and national security, and you're going to hear all about it. So I'm not going to steal their thunder or those who are actually making the awards. But they truly exemplify leadership, professionalism, and commitment to excellence. And that's what these awards are all about. And let me just say to our awardees, Joseph, Amanda, Elizabeth, Miyako, Sarah, and Cameo. I've read the submissions, all the write-ups, the short bios. I am in awe of all that you have done, all that you've accomplished, and you're just getting started. And, you know, I must say, when you hear about what they have accomplished, it will just make you feel so good about our future. A big round of applause for our recipients. Now, our honorees work long hours, sometimes deployed, far from home, And this commitment to service demands a lot of their families too. And so I really want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to all the families, friends, those who support, because our awardees can't do what they do without you. So a big thank you to all the supporters. Thank you for being here, and a warm welcome. I'd also like to welcome our keynote speaker. I can see the Honorable Ron Moultrie. Ron, thank you for being here this evening. You have many demands on your time. You're probably out every night of the week. We appreciate that you are spending this evening with us, and we look forward to your remarks in a few minutes here. Now, you may have noticed on either side of the stage, we have actually the framed citations. And these citations are for the Baker Award winners that these awards are named after. And if you haven't had a chance to look at them, you really should, because that's history right there for the 6 Baker awardees that are the namesakes for the awards. And in fact, we have one of our award namesakes with us tonight. Admiral Bill Studeman is here with us tonight, and he will present the award bestowed in his name. Bill, I'm not sure you've ever missed one of these. We appreciate you coming year after year. So thank you for being here. We also have Dan Drell, and I talked to Dan earlier this evening. There he is. We also have Dan Drell, and Dan will present the Science and Technology Award that is named for his father, Dr. Sidney Drell. And Dan lives here locally and comes year after year, really enjoys meeting the award recipients, and we just can't thank you enough, Dan, for continuing to come and standing here for your father. So thank you for being here. And speaking of the William Oliver Baker Award, our 2023 recipient is here tonight. I do have to move to be able to see Lieutenant General Vince Stewart, retired. Vince, we are so looking forward to celebrating your many accomplishments this June 9th. I believe ticket sales are open, sponsorships are still out there, but more importantly, we just really look forward to celebrating your many accomplishments. So thank you for being here, Vince. Just a few more, hang in there, a few more introductions. Former INSA President Chuck Alsop will present the Homeland Security Award on behalf of his dear friend and mentor, the late Senator John Warner. Chuck, thank you for being here. Former INSA President, the Honorable Ellen McCarthy, is here tonight, and Ellen will present the Richard J. Kerr Government Award. Ellen, thank you for being here. I'm even trying on my tiptoes and I still can't say, oh, thank you, Ellen. I can see you when you do that. And our INSA Senior Intelligence Advisors. I don't think Sue is with us this evening. She was on video the other day. She's a busy person. The Honorable Charlie Allen, who is also a Baker Award winner. Charlie, thank you for being here this evening. And just a few more shout outs, because we have some very senior folks from across the intelligence community who have joined us this evening. The Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and for family members who may not know, that's the number 2 in the intelligence community. Dr. Stacy Dixon is with us this evening. Stacy. I think Stacy's fan club is here also, based on that. Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Intelligence, Major General Greg Gagnon, NSA Director. General Paul Nakasone is on his way. DHS Undersecretary for Intelligence and Analysis, the Honorable Ken Weinstein, and NGA Director, Vice Admiral Trey Whitworth. We are so honored that all of you have taken time out of your busy schedules. Again, I know what it's like. You can be out every night of the week, and for you to come to this, I think says a lot. It says a lot about our awardees, who really are the future of our community. So thank you all for joining us. We are very honored. And I'm also very pleased to see strong industry support for this event. A special thanks to our sponsors, Booz Allen, Esri, Hawkeye 360, Maxar, Penn State Applied Research Laboratory, Peraton, Raytheon Intelligence and Space, Sims Software, and last but not least, Spadero and Associates. Thank you, Tony. So we know our workforce is our competitive advantage, hands down. But it takes true leadership and commitment to actually walk the talk. That you are all here tonight and that so many world-class organizations are supporting this event really brings home that we are a community first. We are a community that prioritizes the people and the workforce that actually power the mission. And so, as I said, one of my favorite events, I'm going to get off the stage now. I'd like to welcome Mike Perro, who's the Director of Capture Excellence from Raytheon Intelligence and Space, and Mike is going to introduce our keynote speaker.
Great. Put that up a little bit. Great. Thank you, Tish. Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. This is a really exciting time for me to be here tonight to help recognize so many great achievements of the professionals that have dedicated their careers and in many cases their lives to the mission needs. These events not only serve to recognize the true unsung heroes of the IC workplace, but they also serve to remind us why we have chosen a career in intelligence and national security, namely to help our nation be safer, more secure place for all Americans. And thank you all very much for being out here tonight. This is a very important event. And with that, it's my honor and distinct pleasure to introduce one of the superheroes of our times, and that's our keynote speaker, the Honorable Ronald Moultrie, currently the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. In this role, Mr. Moultrie, I promise I'll keep it simple. Very short. So in this role, he is the principal advisor to the Secretary of Defense on intelligence, counterintelligence, and all security matters. He exercises authority, direction, and control on behalf of the Secretary of Defense over all intelligence and security organizations within the DoD and the intelligence components of the combatant commands, as well as each of the military services. Further, he is dual-hatted as the Director of Defense Intelligence for ODNI, as if his job was not complicated enough. And over the course of his 36-year career, Mr. Moultrie has served in a variety of senior leadership positions throughout the DoD and the national intelligence community. He is the recipient of a Presidential Rank Award, 2 Navy Distinguished Civilian Service Awards, the DNI SEAL Medallion, the National Intelligence Distinguished Service Medal, the CIA Donovan Award, the NRO Gold Medal, and is a 3-time recipient of the highest NSA award, and that's the Exceptional Civilian Service Award. He holds a master's degree from the National Intelligence University, a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Maryland, and a Russian language degree from the Defense Language Institute in my hometown of Monterey, California. He's completed senior executive studies at Harvard, University's Kennedy School of Government, and I would like all of you to join me in welcoming a warm welcome for Honorable Ron Moultrie. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Well, thanks for keeping it short. Appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. First and foremost, let me thank my good friend, Tish Long, for inviting me to be here this evening. It's an honor to be here. I don't think I should actually be in the company of the people who are here. I mean, it's just a who's who of people who not only represent the future of our nation and national security, but people who have built this community. And so it's just an honor to be here among INSA. I do have to call out Charlie for all that you've done, sir. I think that people just don't understand what Charlie Allen has meant to our community, what he's meant to me, what intelligence and warning, and how that actually grew and came about because of Charlie. And I think I was a young GS-11 at the National Security Agency, and they said, this warning guy who worries about warning is a guy named Charlie Allen. And it seems like, Charlie, you've always been in everyone's lives who is here. And of course, there are others, Admiral Studeman and others who, when I was a young guy who ran around the hallways of NSA trying to find different places, was doing other things. And there's so many others who could be here. Thank you all for coming tonight. So I thought, I also want to thank this organization for all that you do. I was saying to Tish right before I got started this morning in meeting people, that 160 people, 160 organizations strong, that is really focused on collaboration, which is what this is all about. The only reason why we have a community is because of the great collaboration that occurs every day of the year, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And it occurs here in the United States, it occurs across partners and allies without whom we could not do our jobs. And it occurs because of industry and all the things that you do. And that's borne itself out in current events. So let me thank you all. Let me give you all a hand. Give yourselves a hand. So I thought I'd talk just briefly about current events, just two things. Everybody wants to know about balloons, so I'll save that for last. Right? So as we say in the Pentagon, things are looking up. So, look, when we start talking about where we are, let's talk about Russia, Ukraine. I think we've all tracked that for the past year. We all know where that is today. I think that is probably the hallmark of collaboration and what's been done across the community. I think without the assistance of what we've done across the interagency, what we've done within the United States and the industrial base that we have here, we would not be where we are. What I've said to people is, in the 40-plus years that I have in this business, the intelligence that we have provided to our partner, Ukraine, has been among the best intelligence that I've seen during my entire career. It's probably the best. And that started long before the conflict started, and I think it has changed the course of events. It also is because of the sharing that we've done. We've done unprecedented sharing that I didn't think would come about in my lifetime, where things that were probably highly classified are in the open domain. And that's a change. Many of us did not grow up in that culture where we would share, but that's what we're going to expect you to do in the future, is really continue the sharing. Do not let us slip back. You have to continue to do that. So thank you all who have been a part of that. There are companies that are sponsors, there are companies that are here that have helped us do that, and I want to thank you personally for what you've done to help our nation and help the Ukraine and the free world send a message to Russia that aggression, unprovoked aggression, will not stand. The second one that I will talk about just very briefly is balloons. So everybody's heard the events that have happened over the last few weeks or so. We have had these objects in our environment, and what we've done is we respond, as this nation is apt to do, in terms of ensuring that our airspace, our skies are free, that our people are free from threats, and that we are going to protect our installations, our bases, our territories, our operations, and our people. And so we've had this event where we know that there was an object from another country, China, operating in our airspace. We reacted very decisively to ensure that we remove that threat from our airspace. There are other objects, three that we have mentioned that we found sometime shortly after the Chinese object, and we moved decisively to actually neutralize what could have been threats. Now, we're still trying to determine what those things are, but I think it's another example of the collaboration that we've had, not just within the national security community, but also across the U.S. government. There are a number of people who have a place and a space in helping us determine and define what's going on in this space. The leadership of the NSC and the White House has brought us together to think about this and to determine how we might actually get after this. And so you're going to see more of what we are deciding and what we're going to do from that in the very near future. So what I thought I'd do is just talk briefly, because I know I'm the only thing that stands, I think, between you and the real reason why we're here, the awardees and honorees. So I thought I'd just talk briefly about leadership and some of the things that I've thought about over my career, some of the things that have been impressed upon me. They are in no way a template for what you should do or how you might do it. It's just how I have done it. I've learned from people who are in the front row, second row, third row, fourth row, all the way back. And all I've tried to do is become this amalgam of best practices. I've also learned, by the way, what not to do. And I think that's one of the things that you want to do. It's one of the best pieces of advice that I got from somebody when I was serving as, well, I won't say the position because you might know who it is. But the person said to me, Moultrie? Really, he said, damn it, Moultrie. Damn it, Moultrie. What I think you need to do is take the best from me and take the best from people who are before me and incorporate that into your modus operandi. Learn what you should do, learn what you should not do. Because there are things that you will see during your career from leaders that you absolutely never want to do. Just remember that. So don't believe just because we are up here and we do all these things in these high positions that we are these paragons of virtue and that we never have a bad day or never frown. We do. It's just how you then translate that to your people and to your organizations. So number one for me has been stewardship. It's really thinking of myself not as an owner of resources. So I know people talk about the Defense Intelligence and Security Enterprise, and it's 100,000 strong, if you will, and it's got a lot of money and all that. I don't own it. I don't own it. In all the jobs that I've had and all the jobs that I've been fired from in my 40 plus years, I've always said I've never owned any of the things that I've had. But what I've had to be is a good steward. So the things that I've been entrusted with, I have ensured that I've taken care of those. I've done my absolute best to ensure that I left those things in a better place than when I inherited it. So I think that is the number one thing that we need to do. Along with stewardship, so this is not number two, it really is a partner of stewardship, is accountability. You are accountable though, so you don't own anything. You don't walk out of your business with anything, unless you have a skiff like some of these guys do at home. Then you can walk out with things. I have one too, by the way. But it's still not yours, right? What you are is entrusted with having it. You are accountable for doing something with those resources. So that's been number one for me. Number two is to ensure that, and I think Tish, you talked upon this, ma'am, is to see yourself as a community officer. You're working within an organization, but you're part of a larger community. Get to know that community. When I was growing up and really moving up into the system, I really wanted to learn what other agencies did. I wanted to learn what the interagency did. I wanted to learn what Congress did. So I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to actually go work on the Hill and find out what Congress does. I was fortunate enough to have a career, or not a career, but a tour, I should say, over at the Central Intelligence Agency, where I spent 7 years as a CIA officer. I actually resigned from the National Security Agency as a senior executive to work at the CIA. Now, truth be told, I was told, you need to go over and fix something. And CIA said, we're not going to listen to you unless you're one of us. So I became a CIA officer. I did retire as an NSA, though. So I want you to know I came back to the National Security Agency. But I did that. I worked at the ODNI. I worked in the military. Before all that, I was in the military, served in the Air Force. Being a community officer is really important. You're part of a whole. See yourself that way. Always treat the rest of the interagency as if it's as important as what you're doing. And you will be more than the sum of your parts. We will be more than the sum of our parts. So see yourself as a community officer. Always practice, number three, continuous learning. I just think it's really important. You never, ever get to the place where you know everything. There's a saying, some of you may have heard the saying before, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. All right? Have you heard that before? There's some people who think, I've got to be the smartest person, smartest individual in the room. If you are, get out of that room. Go to a different room. You need to be somewhere else where you can learn, where you can grow. You can learn from your subordinates. I do every day. You really need to find that room. Now, the other thing you need to do, is number four, is be a continuous mentor. So you have to mentor. And some of you all of you, I believe, are known as great mentors. Continue to mentor all your life. Continue to teach. Continue to coach. Realize also one other thing. Everything you do is being watched. You're actually a mentor when you're not talking. It's how you hold yourself. It's when you are having a bad day or you're having a difficult moment or somebody is mad or you're mad. How do you handle that? How do you compose yourself? How do you respond in that situation? That's being a mentor. I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me weekly, I would say, and say, you know, you mentored me. You said something to me. Or I watched you in a situation. I watch you with a little bit of grace and dignity under fire, or I watch you with grace and dignity in a certain situation. And that's important. So remember, the mentoring, yeah, it's the things that you say, but it's also allowing those around you to just watch you and to learn from that. The next one I would say is, don't surround yourself with yourself, right? Don't surround yourself with yourself. A lot of people surround themselves with themselves. A lot of mini-me's run around, right? And you just go, that person's just like you. And I always said, you'll never learn, and you'll never give people opportunities if you only surround yourself with yourself. I learned that very early on from a director of NSA. I'll go back to that. One of Admiral Studeman's successors was an individual named Mike McConnell. Some of you have heard of him. He was the director of NSA, 92 to 96, I believe. And during his last year, he asked me if I would come up and be his EA. And I actually was dumb enough to say, I don't really want to do that. I did. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to get back to operations because I had been in a number of jobs where people said, well, in spite of yourself, you may be something one day, so you have to now go and learn all these administrative things. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to stay with operations. And Admiral McConnell called me in. I was the Chief of Staff for Legislative Affairs at NSA, and he called me in and he said, Ron, I want to talk to you. I had no idea why he wanted to talk to me. I had no idea. And he said, I want you to come over and I want you to be my primary EA. I had just made GS-14. That job historically had been an 06 job. And he says, I want you to be my primary EA. And I said, so, sir, that's not a job I would seek, and it's not a job that I'm necessarily ready for. And he said, I think you are ready for it. He said, you just don't look at yourself the way that I look at you and other people have looked at you. And he said, the other thing I want is people to see you at my side. And I said, bless you. And I said, that's important to you. He said, it really is. And it was interesting, 11 years later when he became the DNI, he called me up. He had been working at Booz Allen Hamilton. And I had been a senior executive at that time for some 8 years. And he called me up and he said, Ron, I'd like to have you come over and be my XO, Navy term, right? XO at the ODNI and executive officer. And I said, why do you want to do that? He said, because I'm going to be on the stage, I'm going to be going around the world, and I want people to see somebody who looks like you at my side. It's never, ever left me. And when I did my confirmation hearing, I asked Mike McConnell, my good friend, I said, Mike, will you introduce me to the Senate for my confirmation hearing? So things come full circle, if you will, when you think about it. So don't surround yourself with yourself. Bring people in who are different from you. Surround yourself with people who look like people in our nation. It'll make you a better person. More importantly, it'll allow people to see that we are a community of the people, which is really important. There are people who have challenges and who wonder whether or not we are doing things to them instead of things for them. And the way that you show that you are doing things for them instead of things to them is actually surrounding yourself with people who look like them. The next one is have an emotional IQ that is on par with your intellectual IQ. An emotional IQ that's on par with your intellectual IQ. You're smart. For people who are in the intelligence community, go, I'm in the intelligence community, I'm intelligent. I'm like, yeah, you're in the intelligence community. All right, you're smart. Everybody's smart. To me, it's kind of a given that you're smart. The differentiator is how you actually react to people around you. How do you look at those individuals and how do you bring all of these superstars, how do you bring their chemistry together into a team? How do you realize when somebody's having a bad day and not saying to them, you know, you're lazy, you just haven't been doing things. You know, what you find out is somebody has a relative that's dying of cancer. Somebody has an illness that they haven't wanted to talk to you about. Somebody's going through a really tough day. Somebody is, just having things. And I'll tell you, if you stay in this business long enough, you're going to run into people who live through that. I lived through it, and you got to make decisions, and you make those decisions that, hey, I got to do some things, and so develop that emotional IQ. I think it'll make you a better individual, it'll make you a better officer, and you never stop developing that emotional IQ. It's something that you do all your life. Next one is integrity. I don't have to say much more about that, but say what you mean and mean what you say. It's just people will get to know you, and they'll say, that person is a person of their word. They're going to do what they told you they would do. The other thing I always say is, act the same way and do the same things when nobody's around. People in my office can't believe that I'm always wearing this jacket. Never comes off. I never take it off. I said, you wear that jacket from 6:15 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter who's in your office. I just do. I don't dress any differently for the Secretary of Defense as I would for anybody else. If I have a GS-9 coming in my office, I have an E-4 or E-5 coming in my office, I dress the same way. I act the same way for them. My staff sees me this way all the time. That's just me. I don't dress this way for my wife, so don't think that. But I did have somebody back to my early days in the fort. They asked me if I owned a pair of blue jeans, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. But integrity isn't about how you dress or how you look. It really is acting the same way all the time, whether there's somebody around you looking at you or whether there's nobody around you looking at you. I know you're doing that already. Continue to do it. Your people will look at you and they will thank you for it. The next one is, and I'm getting down to the end of the list here, is instill a sense of confidence in your people, no matter what. We go through chaos every day. I remember early in my career, somebody said, was asking them what they do, and they said, I manage chaos. I manage chaos. That's our community. And what I found was very quickly, yeah, you manage chaos, but you don't want your people to see that you are worried, concerned. What you always want them to see is that you are in command. Have what I call a calming effect on people. They will always want you around. One of the things I've always said, I will find a way of getting it done. So the one thing I've always said to people is, give me a hard job, I'll get that job done. Now, to myself, I said, I have no idea how I'm going to get this done. But what I said to them was, if it can be done, we'll get it done. So do that. Have that calming effect. Speak truth to power, no matter who they are. Now, if you're talking to the Secretary of Defense, you got to get on your tippy toes, right? Look them in the eye and tell them what you think. But you always speak truth to power. They may not like it, but they'll respect you for it. Tell them what you really believe, and they will embrace you for being honest with them. And it's important because we do have people who are yes individuals, and I don't think that's the way to be. I mean, tell somebody. And I ask people in my meetings, where am I wrong? Challenge my thinking is kind of the red teaming, right? And for those of you who have worked with and have worked with me, know that I've done this over the years. So I have people out here who are going, no, they're shaking their head like, yeah, he does. But that's one of the things that I've done. The one thing I also have done, and this is another one, is just express continuous gratitude for people who have helped you get to where you are. So there's somebody sitting on the front row here, a guy named John Doyen. Some of you know him. He's the executive director here. I wouldn't be up on the stage today without John. And John, you've got to tell people about all the jobs that we've had together. He really has been that guy who's been at my side from the time that I was a 15, right? Somebody who the agency said, yeah, we're going to put you in a job that we put all these senior executives in. It was John Doyen and all these jobs. And when we had planes that landed in China, I looked for John, I looked for Laura Nelson, I looked for all these people and said, you people have proven yourself, you're really good. I've tried to thank them in every way that I could. I'm thanking them tonight because I've never forgot it. 20 years, 25 years. Say thank you. Tell people I'm here because of the people in this audience. I am. Most people don't do that. It's like, I got here, I'm smart. I'm really good. No, you're not. You think you are. You're smart because somebody gave you an opportunity. They put a hand out to you and they gave you a hand up. You were there because somebody saw something in you. You're there because somebody gave you a piece of advice and you didn't know it. And I get that today from the people who are part of Defense Intelligence Enterprise. They're smarter than I am. So what you have to do is what I think Dale Carnegie said years ago. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you are and use them. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you are and use them. Right? Just remember that. Just remember some of these words because they will benefit you your entire life. Last thing that I would say, and I've already touched on this, is prioritize your family and friends too. and yourself, but prioritize family and friends. There are a lot of people who are separated in this community, who are divorced in this community, who have never had children, who have children who think they're idiots. They just are, right? I just can't tell you the number of people who I've sat down with who said, Ron, you know, there's very senior people. My child thinks I'm an idiot. They say I'm disengaged and everything. My wife has left me, my husband's left me, and all this stuff like that. I'm like, been there, done that, you know, saw the movie. What I've said to people is, try to prioritize your family. If anybody tells you your family's not important and that's your supervisor, find a different supervisor. Try to find a different job, all right? I've always told people, and the last time I dealt with this was just this past weekend when somebody who works for me contacted me and said, sir, my mother passed of a stroke today, and it was right in the middle of Sunday, balloons and everything else flying around. And I was in my skiff and on and off calls with the leadership of the Pentagon. And I took the time to write a note to say, you know, my heart breaks. My heart breaks right now. I just can't tell you, you know, how hurt I am. And when I went up for my skiff, the first thing I said to my wife was, she said, how are things going? I said, I didn't talk about balloons or what was on television. I said, this individual whose mother had been sick and who had suffered a stroke just 48 hours earlier, she passed. And so take care of family, take care of friends, take care of yourself. It's really important. And if you do that for people around you, they'll do that for other people. And you, when you were standing on the stage, as you will be, some of you will be standing on the stage, or you'll be sitting in this row soon, very, very soon. I thought, I'll never be one of them, right? Never be, I'm too young, right? I have a big afro and everything, I'm not gonna be one of them. I've lost my hair, right, and all these things, but I'm on the stage. I'm on the stage. So it goes by quick. Enjoy every minute of it. It is really an honor and it's a privilege to be recognized by your community. It's really an honor and a privilege to be a part of a community like this. Not everybody can do it, and so you have to really enjoy the moment and you have to savor it. So to our awardees, congratulations once again. It is my honor and my pleasure to be here. For all of you who have had a role in getting them to where they are today, thank you. Thank you. You are helping our nation. You are helping the free world in ways that some of you do know, some of you will ever know. And so let me see if I get all the names right again. Amanda, Yosa, Yanko, Sarah, Elizabeth, Camille, thank you so very much. The future of our nation is indeed, and the security of our nation is indeed entrusted to you. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
So, Ron, very inspiring words, as we knew they would be. One of your things that you talked about was expressing gratitude. And so I am going to express gratitude on behalf of everyone here. We did a little intel operation.
Okay.
Come on up.
Yes, ma'am.
Either way, come on up. We did a little intel operation, a little collection operation, and learned that you have a little bit of a sweet tooth.
Oh my goodness.
That you might like chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So it's under the dollar limit. Thank you. Expressing gratitude. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those really amazing words of wisdom that I know not only our 6 awardees appreciate, but the audience.
Thank you, Surya.
Thank you. And I might add, the INSA staff liked taste testing the options for us to get to what we decided on. So now on to the awards, because those really were great words to set the stage for the rest of the evening. We will do our best to keep the presentations brief, because we want to leave as much time as possible to actually hear from our awardees. To kick things off, it is my privilege to welcome to the stage former Deputy Director of Central Intelligence, former NSA Director, and retired Navy Admiral Bill Studeman. Bill?
mic at the same height, so I can't actually see you all. Well, first let me thank all the front rows for coming out and recognizing all these youngsters. It's a great event, one of the INSA's greatest events of the year. I think I'm permitted one short aside, one observation, and so let me quickly make that now. I've been in this business or associated with this business for 62 years now. So it's, and the one point that I would like to make is that I lived through the Cold War, my formative years, which was over in 1991. I continued on in the community and set the stage for what we called ROW, the rest of the world conflicts that were to emerge, and they quickly did emerge, followed quickly by the GWOT, and now we're back to great powers kind of conflict. And the only thing I could observe with regard to that is that the kind of threat scope and size that the community is contending with today, the Cold War fades by comparison. So the challenges of today, to me, are greater than they were in the formative period when I grew up. And so this is a great challenge for you all, and it's going to take a great professionalism, high performance, to get us through this period of time. So I wish you all well in that regard. So turning to my formal part of this, I'm delighted to present the military award to the U.S. Space Force Master Sergeant Joseph Margutek, Operations Superintendent, Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Division, Space Delta 5. Master Sergeant Margutek has made a significant contribution to U.S. national security. Notably, he has directed the trend analysis of nearly 200 global electromagnetic interference events affecting thousands of manned and unmanned sorties operating within the U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility. This effort culminated in the discovery of previously unknown adversary electronic warfare sites and identification of never-before-known enemy offensive capabilities involved in the disruption of ISR assets, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets. These discoveries led to a ground raid of an electronic warfare facility, a national-level rewrite of the tactics, techniques, and procedures used by hundreds of unmanned aerial vehicles operating within U.S. CENTCOM. This work was pivotal in his selection as the 2020 Combined Space Force Operations Center's Joint Service Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. Additionally, he oversaw the support of 7 multinational and freedom of navigation operations, identifying more than 1,200 critical enemy command and control links and 1,700 ISR threats in the Indo-Pacific Command. This effort drove the collection and targeting strategy for an entire geographic combatant command and 2 major commands. Master Sergeant Margutek leverages his expertise to shape the development of America's future leaders. He was requested by name to act as the primary all-source intelligence representative for an occupational study from which he drafted 18 focus areas and 212 behaviors that are critical to the development of an all-source analyst. Master Sergeant Margutek's contributions were adopted in 2022 and will be used as the foundation for the Space Force's all-source intelligence training. He's a talented, selfless leader, and I'm extraordinarily proud to present the 2023 Military Award to Master Sergeant Joseph Margutek. I would also ask that Major General Gregory Gannon of the Space Force join me on stage for this award and presentation of this award. Again, also, Master Sergeant, thank you for bringing such a large, extended part of your family here today. It's a great. Please join me on the stage.
Thank you, Admiral Studeman, and thank you for the insights into a distinguished career, honorable Moultrie. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow award winners, what a privilege it is to be able to be given the opportunity to stand before you this evening. And to the men and women of the Intelligence and National Security Alliance, thank you for your consideration and for ultimately selecting me to be the winner of the William O. Studeman Award. To be presented an award named after such an iconic and influential military leader as Admiral Studeman, it is the hallmark of my military career. When I first joined the military at 18 years of age, I did so largely with one goal in mind: escape Ohio. Hi, Mom. But over a short period of time, I became enamored by the military lifestyle. And it wasn't so long before an initial 4-year enlistment became a nearly 2-decade military career. As Captain Dimmick, the man sitting in the audience right there, likes to often and fondly remind me, apparently when you're nearing retirement age, it also makes you old. So thank you, sir, for those kind words. But whether I've been in a short term, long term, whether I'm considered young or old, there is one constant that remains throughout, and that is my passion for the people and the teams that I'm asked to lead. The award behind me that I've received tonight is not something that I ever could have won on my own. In the 4 years that I've been assigned to the Space Delta V, I have been absolutely blessed to work with some of the smartest and hardest working airmen and guardians. When I was the non-commissioned officer in charge of the electronic warfare team, I had the privilege of leading 5 analysts, just 5. Those analysts were Sergeants Allende, Devontes, Barnes, Omspa, and Walters, 5 brilliant analysts. We were a small but mighty team on the front line of discovering new adversarial capabilities. But more than that, we were championing the effort to get after the resolution of intentional and unintentional SATCOM interference. The work we did was pivotal, and it made us a household name in the space industry. Most recently, as the flight chief for the Analysis, Correlation, and Fusion team, I had the pleasure of working alongside Captain Dimmick as we led a team of, at its peak, nearly 25 all-source analysts, the vast majority of whom were serving their first ever military enlistment. If those first-term airmen and guardians were the heart of the team, then the soul of the team were my NCOs. NCOs like Sergeant Atkins, Maxim, Emery, Spute, Hansen, Robles, Scott, and Lujan. Those NCOs are what allowed us to keep the oars in the water and to be as successful as we were. Whether it was providing space support to global multinational operations, analyzing C2 nodes to focus and refine space comms targeting efforts, drafting congressional talking points for General Raymond, or even being personally requested, one of our members being personally requested to brief the Vice President of the United States of America. Those NCOs allowed us to be a powerhouse, and we punched well above our weight class. There are 4 individuals in the audience tonight that I'm going to slightly embarrass, but I do so because each of them have impacted me in a very significant way. To Captain Dimmick, for the better part of a year and a half, we led ACF together. It was at times challenging and demanding from both a time and emotional standpoint, but I know you'd agree with me that it was extremely rewarding. What we achieved on your watch, sir, was nothing short of amazing. From promotions, advanced promotions, merit-based decorations, team awards, quarterly awards for members, annual awards for members. And at some point I lost count, but we must have had 24 coins given out to our team members due to superior performance. I couldn't have been more proud to have served alongside you, sir, and under you, sir, on ACF. But I do want to thank you. I want to thank you for always having my back, but most importantly, always having the back of our team members. The next person I'd like to direct a spotlight to is my mom. You were there for me at all my most critical moments of my youth, and here you are today, in my corner, supporting me with unconditional love. It has only been barely 2 years since we lost Dad, and there's not a week goes by that I don't think of him. I wish that he could have been here, but I know that he would have been proud of what I've accomplished. I just want to say that I love you, and thank you for yet again being here at the most critical moment of my life. And next, I'd like to draw attention to my wife, Catherine. I mostly want to say thank you. Thank you for standing by me. Thank you for embracing this military lifestyle. You have sacrificed more than anybody I know, both your personal goals and your career aspirations as you followed me when the military assigned us halfway around the world and back. But through it all, through all the struggles, the trials, the tribulations, we have endured. It hasn't always been easy, but it has always been worth it. I don't know what the future holds for me in the military or someday when I retire, but I don't worry about it because I know that as long as I have you, we will always be successful. I love you. And lastly, to my son, Kian. Hey, buddy. The greatest happiness that I experience in this life is just being your dad. You are only 7 years old, but in the not too distant future, you too will be 18 and probably looking to escape home. I get it. But I want you to know that you are the greatest legacy that your mother and I will leave on this world. I couldn't be more proud of the boy you are, and I look forward to seeing the man that you will someday become. I love you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. But most of all, thank you to INSA for this evening and for selecting me to be the award winner. It means more to me than you could ever possibly imagine. Good night.
Wow. Master Sergeant, congratulations. Your passion for leadership really comes through, your passion for your people, and of course, your love of family really came through there. Thank you for all you have done. Thank you for what you will continue to do, and very well deserved. Next, our next awardee is named after Ms. Joan Dempsey. It is the Joan Dempsey Mentorship Award. Unfortunately, Joan could not attend this evening. and she could not attend. She's on the West Coast. She's actually on her way back. She was texting with me and said she was so disappointed that she wasn't able to get back here in time. She also has been to many of these ceremonies, and it really is a highlight for her to be able to present this award. I have the distinct pleasure of standing in for her. And this year's recipient, another Master Sergeant Amanda Scurry, really embodies leadership is a team sport. She has that mindset. And while serving as the senior enlisted leader for NSA Hawaii's Information Operations Office, Master Sergeant Scurry independently organized quarterly professional development sessions to cultivate writing and other supervisory skills. She instructed teamwork concepts in small group professional leadership sessions with future flight chiefs and flight commanders across Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. Master Sergeant Scurry also established a joint diversity, equity, and inclusion program for her office. This was just on her own. Her leadership led to the resolution of several equal opportunity issues in her Joint Work Center, and her initiative empowered 3 junior enlisted to step up as workplace DEI representatives, enabling them to address office climate issues at the member level. Amanda championed female mentorship within the joint military environment. She was a founding member of a Lean In chapter, where she led monthly mentorship events for over 2,000 joint service and civilian members. Over 2,000. Master Sergeant Scurry encouraged the airmen in her charge to seek professional development opportunities and secured funding for more than 20 members to attend conferences worldwide. She also served as a mentor to her peers. Master Sergeant Scurry initiated a joint award writing course where she provided instruction to senior non-commissioned officers. Her efforts set the standard for all senior enlisted leaders across NSA Hawaii and ensured her group submitted timely, quality awards and decorations for their combined joint service members. And I just have to take a pause there, because really ensuring that your folks are getting recognized is a hallmark of a true leader. So well done there. She represents the best of our community and is eminently deserving of this award. And I really am so proud to present this award. Joan Dempsey is still a mentor of mine. So being able to present the Joan A. Dempsey Mentorship Award to Master Sergeant Amanda Scurry really is a highlight for me. I would ask NSA Director, General Nakasone, and Deputy Director of Operations for Combat Support, Major General Tom Hensley, to join me on stage for the award photo and presentation. Amanda?
Oh, no. Oh, goodness. Didn't practice this part. Okay, I'll have to do. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone in the front row. When you hear the word mentor, what comes to mind? We already kind of talked about it earlier. To me, a mentor is a trusted counselor, an influential supporter, a coach, a role model. The relationship between mentor and mentee is organic and isn't something that should or really can be forced. It's a natural process of seeking the counsel of another person based on their life experiences, their personality, or even their character in order to achieve one's goals. Mentorship is vital to strengthening individual development, which in turn strengthens an entire team or organization. This idea that mentorship is an organic, vital process is something both the National Security Agency and the United States Air Force has embraced and fostered to help shape the next generation of analysts and leaders. I stand here tonight as a reflection of these mentorship systems working, as I would not be accepting this award if not for the mentorship I received from both my Air Force, Joint Service, and civilian leaders throughout my 16-year career. Growing up in the Air Force and NSA, I could barely count on two hands the number of women leaders and role models in my organizations. And while they were few, they left a strong impression on me, on how I someday wanted to influence and help others, as they did. They showed me compassion was not a weakness, and that I shouldn't change my personality or my behavior to fit a more traditional view of strength. I in no way coined this phrase, but representation matters. It makes a difference, and it is inspiring to see someone who looks like you at higher echelons of leadership, to know that if they could do it, I could too. And while I did not achieve all I have solely because of female mentorship in my professional communities, it showed me what I could one day be for others. I stand here tonight as a result of the mentorship I also received from male leaders. Mentors who gave me feedback, guidance, and support based on my skills, my intelligence, my potential, based on me as a person. Even when they didn't quite understand what I was going through, they didn't dismiss my emotions or point of view. They treated me as they would any other mentee, and in turn, learned from my experiences. The mentorship I received throughout my career is what I have paid forward, and what I will continue to pay forward in every facet of my life. Hopefully, my acts of mentorship have offered insight and perspective to the experience of being a woman in today's military and intelligence community. I hope to continue empowering the next generation of analysts and leaders, both female and male, joint service and civilian. And I hope to continue fostering an inclusive work environment that promotes diversity. There are a few people, or groups of people, I would like to thank for being an inspirational part of my leadership journey. To all of the airmen, sailors, soldiers, Marines, guardians, and civilian partners under my charge throughout my career, it was an honor to be your cheerleader, your support network, your advocate. Thank you for teaching me patience, a lot of patience, and resilience. You all never cease to amaze me with your hard work and perseverance. Keep up the amazing things you do. To my peers over the year who helped to mold my leadership style, thank you for showing me how by working together, we could accomplish our mission and take care of our junior members better than we could individually. You showed me how promoting teamwork versus rank climbing competition was better for everyone's well-being. You all have been my rocks, my sounding boards, my counselors, and my friends. To the seniors, chiefs, and officers throughout my career, thank you for your honest and sometimes pretty brutal feedback. Thank you for challenging me to take on more responsibility and charging me with the leadership and mentorship of my peers. To the women leaders I have worked with over the years, who not only blazed the trail and lit the path for me to follow, but also cultivated in me the bond of sisterhood. Thank you for teaching me that there is room for everyone at the table, and we all have a voice and something worth saying. To Mr. Mike Walgren, who couldn't be here tonight, who submitted me for this achievement award, thank you for empowering me and allowing me to blossom. Your enthusiasm, your drive to develop those around you, and your focus on the team's welfare is a top priority, is truly motivating. To my best friend, who couldn't make it tonight either, Master Sergeant Samantha Payne, who I first met scrubbing latrine floors in basic training over 16 years ago. Thank you for being a constant role model for me. Your compassion for others, your determination, your resiliency have been such a positive influence on how I pay it forward to others. And finally, to my husband, Sam, who is here tonight. Thank you for supporting me in my career and for being a true partner in life. Thank you for being understanding of long work days or the work that sometimes, a lot of times, bleeds into home life. Thank you for taking care of me and reminding me to take care of myself when I'm sometimes too preoccupied with supporting others. I cannot aptly express how humbling it is to receive this award. It is a testament to my leaders, peers, junior service members, civilian coworkers, and family, to both the NSA and to the U.S. Air Force, to everyone who has helped shape how I interact with and hopefully inspire those around me. I would not be here on this stage if not for you. And also thank you, INSA, for this extreme honor.
Master Sergeant Scurry, Amanda, NSA, the Air Force, the intelligence community, dare say our nation, we are, the word that I'm looking for, I mean, we are very fortunate that you have such a passion for mentorship and that you are paying it forward. That is a lot of what mentorship is all about. So thank you for all you have done, and thank you for all you are still going to do. Well done. Okay, now we will move on to the Richard Kerr Government Award. While Dick could not be here tonight, we are honored to have with us an amazing woman of the intelligence community to present the award in his honor. That would be the former Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of Intelligence and Research and former INSA President, the Honorable Ellen McCarthy, who also just happens to be a very dear friend of mine. Ellen.
Tish, I can see everybody. Elizabeth, where are you? There you are. Okay. Thank you, first of all, INSA, for asking me to fill in tonight for somebody who can't be replaced, Richard Kerr. But I'm so excited to be here because the Achievement Awards, I mean, I think every one of us are going to go home tonight thinking, I am so glad I took this time to be here, because you always go home feeling better than when you got here. So thank you for this. It's really my honor to present this award to Elizabeth Tillman. She's an analyst at the Office of Naval Intelligence. I'm pretty sure that INSA asked me to stand in for Richard Kerr, not because I was nearly the analyst he was, but I think we share naval intelligence in our history. But Elizabeth, you and I spoke last week. I have a feeling we're going to be fast friends after that discussion. You amazed me. And where is Jeremy? Jeremy, you amaze me more because you've got really great taste. She's pretty... You're a partner, so thank you. But Elizabeth, I mean, I was actually blown away. This is going to sound a little self-indulgent, but I was amazed at how much we have in common. But I'll get to you in a second. So we both started our careers at the Office of Naval Intelligence. Your mother is from Annapolis. My mother lives in Annapolis. Your father was from Turkey. My dad was a huge turkey. We're both University of Maryland grads. Go Maryland. We both dreamed of different career paths when we started. You didn't, as a 3-year-old, you were not thinking, I'm going to be an analyst at the Office of Naval Intelligence. You were thinking about Indiana Jones, like who wouldn't be thinking of Indiana Jones? And you thought, I'm going to be an archaeologist, which is why you majored in archaeology. And until you spent one summer spending 10 hours a day in the sun digging, and you said, maybe I'm not going to be an archaeologist. We share that because my motivator in life was Buddy the dog from Full House. I always wanted a golden retriever. Where's Dave Norman? Dave, I wanted a golden retriever, and I got one, but then I realized that I gotta have a job if I'm gonna get a golden retriever, and so that's how Office of Naval Intelligence comes in. Both of us actually got job offers from the Central Intelligence Agency and ONI, and we took the ONI route because it took a year to get into CIA, given the clearance process. And I think we're both happy that we took the ONI route, because what a great place to start. So, but I gotta tell you, that's where our paths stop. And Elizabeth is so much more. I mean, I think your hard work and excellence has been sort of your mantra for your whole life. You were a Boren Fellow. You spent 2 years in Turkey. You wanted to follow in the footsteps of your father. And you not only learned the culture, you worked the languages, you learned the people. We were talking about misinformation and disinformation and how we really need to be considerate of how the Turkish look at us. You learned that before you even started in naval intelligence. You worked at the Institute for the Study of War, which is a site I go to almost every day today. And I will tell you, it was those experiences, plus your incredibly strong leadership skills, that really have made you this invaluable analyst at the Office of Naval Intelligence. You joined ONI's Middle East and Naval Strategy and Ops Division in 2019, and in very short order, you've made a very big difference. Your intel products and analysis has gone to the President and the Cabinet multiple times via the President's daily briefing. You've gotten feedback from the Secretary of Defense, from the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, from ambassadors, from undersecretaries, from fleet commanders. And you know, Elizabeth, I think you realize very quickly that that's what it's all about. It's not just about providing the most amazing analysis you can, but it's about ensuring that our leaders are actually getting the decision advantage that they expect and need. And that's sort of been your hallmark. So thank you for that. Your secret really is no secret at all. I mean, you really are very thoughtful when it comes to considering the issue or the question that's being asked. You seek out diverse expertise. You know that you're not the smartest person in the room, Undersecretary Moultrie. So she goes and talks to others, even to people that you might not necessarily agree with, but you really need to listen to them. You highlight others' contributions over your own when actually presenting something. And you have learned from great leaders. And what I loved, again, Ron, is that she also identified that she's learned from not so great leaders. And that's a big deal when you recognize that. I guess what also, this is why we will be lifelong friends, is that she's not only really good at what she does, but she really understands that the mission is only as good as the people who support it, and that culture eats strategy for lunch. And so you have dedicated just about as much time as you have in gaining expertise in your trade craft as you have in working with and for and empowering the people who are around you. You were on the Office of Naval Intelligence Junior Advisory Board. You have a passion for supporting diversity and inclusion. I know you were the liaison to the EEO office in that regard. I mean, it's absolutely no wonder that Sandy Brown, the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence, said, I need you to come work with me. And I mentioned to Elizabeth that, you know, when somebody asks you to come work with them in that capacity in a front office, it means you're really good. And so, Elizabeth, you are really good. So your commitment to the workforce, your incredible expertise, your hunger to learn, your incredibly generous spirit, they've greatly benefited the country. And you know, as Tish said, you've really only just begun, and I really can't wait to see what's next. So it's my incredible privilege and honor to present you with the Richard J. Kerr Government Award, Elizabeth. And I'm going to ask Sandy Brown to come up so that we can celebrate all that's amazing about you.
I was told my notes would be up here. Okay. Pam, would you mind coming to help me? I don't know where they are. Sorry. that spot. Go all the way back here, all the way back here, and Kara. Right at the end. There they are. Thank you so much. It all makes more sense before you're up here, and then nothing makes sense anymore. So thank you for your patience. Thank you all for being here tonight. I think I, as many of my colleagues in the intelligence community, didn't embark upon this path with expectations of receiving this type of praise or recognition. I think, in fact, most of us are wildly uncomfortable with it. So thank you again. Upon learning that I would be giving a speech, let alone one that would be recorded, I did question whom within my chain of command I so alienated to deserve such a punishment. I guess, sir, speaking truth to power is not actually all it's cracked up to be. But all joking aside, there are too many colleagues, mentors, friends, and family, and people in my life that are the reason for me being here. My partner Jeremy is here and still kindly pretending like he knows what I do. As well as Miss Sandra Brown, my boss and mentor within the Naval Intelligence Enterprise. And thank you so much for your kind words, Ellen. I've been reflecting upon what success and achievement means to me, and I think I, like many of us here, are probably familiar with the sense of imposter syndrome that comes to mind at first. However, I think there is something to be said about the notion that our success is not solely our own. One could simply say that success happens when preparation meets opportunity and maybe a little bit of luck. But more often than not, I've found that the tipping point of our lives can really be traced to moments and decisions well beyond our own. For instance, as was referenced earlier, I wouldn't be here if my grandfather didn't decide to learn English, and that he, my grandmother, and my dad didn't secure one of a few, I think 200 visas that were allotted, defined by US immigration quotas at the time. That's astounding. And a chance introduction to a thoughtful mentor or an unexpected opportunity to succeed, as they're called in the office, we all know what those really are. But they drive what we call oftentimes successes after the fact. And these small instances of chance or happenstance may not be the best, if at all, captured in speeches such as these that could highlight triumph, which rightly hold their place in celebrations such as these. But I think upon introspection, we are here not because of our greatest moments, but because of our hardest. I often think about a time earlier in my career when I was leading our team's response to a burgeoning crisis, which always seems to happen on a Friday or a weekend. Is there someone I can talk to about that? From the outside looking in, I was hitting all of my publication marks and mostly accurately forecasting different courses of action for the conflict. However, inside, I was struggling with the grief over losing a very close loved one, a lot of anxiety, not sleeping nearly enough, which is almost certainly an expected byproduct of working for a month straight, which I'm sure all of us have done at one point or the other. And I was experiencing challenges communicating with my team, which included not asking for help, which was a skill that I had not yet honed at the time. I was, in short, a mess in all areas other than the conventional metrics of how we define success. And to that, I say taking care of yourself and the people that you love is success, one that I hope that all of us can navigate in the least painful way possible. And as a nod to those mentors, colleagues, and people in our lives who have been there with us and with me, I'd like to end with a quote by Joyce Johnston Rouse that has stuck with me over the years. I am standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. I am stronger for their courage. I am wiser for their words. I am lifted by their longing for a fair and brighter future. Thank you for your shoulders.
Elizabeth, congratulations, and very well said. I have no doubt many are already standing on your shoulders and will continue to in the future. And I really like your definition of success. It is about taking care of one another, and it is about taking care of ourselves. So, congratulations again. And Ellen, thank you for that amazing presentation. So now I would like to welcome to the stage former INSA President Chuck Alsup, who will present the Homeland Security Award, which is named after his dear friend, Senator John Warner.
Thank you, Tish. And congratulations to all of our awardees down in that front row, okay? I think I can honestly say that Senator Warner would be so very proud of all of you. I'm very pleased to be here to present this award on behalf of my friend and mentor, Senator John Warner. He was a man of extraordinary accomplishment and ability, an esteemed five-term senator from Virginia, Navy Secretary, and for the Navy folks here, a Navy Assistant Secretary too, and he loved the Navy. Sometimes we had to watch him about that. An Assistant U.S. Attorney, a World War II and Korean War veteran, a respected statesman, and above all, a patriot. And he was also a 2009 recipient of the William Oliver Baker Award. His true passion, though, was making sure that those who chose to serve in uniform as first responders, as part of our national security structure, had the tools to do their jobs and the support of the Congress and the nation. I was proud to work with him in those endeavors and am grateful to represent him tonight. With that, it is now my privilege to present the John W. Warner Homeland Security Award to Miyako Yerrick, an intelligence analyst with the Economic Security Mission Center, Office of Intelligence and Analysis at the Department of Homeland Security. Miyako has been instrumental in advancing the field of economic security within the Homeland Intelligence Enterprise and the intelligence community. Specifically, she has authored numerous high-quality products examining Chinese threats to U.S. economic security, from use of forced labor in commercial products that taint U.S.-bound supply chains, to the power of PRC-backed state-owned enterprises that use anti-competitive means to undermine U.S. manufacturing. Ms. Yerrick's thoughtful analyses have been read by principals across the U.S. government. She has been hailed for identifying the next threat on the horizon from our greatest strategic competitor. To ensure state and local officials can mitigate PRC economic actions in their communities, Ms. Yerrick has worked across the community to lower the classification of relevant information. And I think I'd like to kind of stamp my foot on that, you know, in terms of open source, care lines, to be able to get that information down to the people that really can act upon it. So thank you for doing that. She excels in identifying the information that grabs the attention of our audience, and she effectively communicates critical threats and their impacts on individuals, communities, and businesses. She is a highly valued team player who goes out of her way to help others, both professionally and personally, and who has acted as an unofficial mentor to nearly every new analyst on her team. Ms. Yerrick champions diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, organizing events and highlighting the history, culture, and achievements of people with different backgrounds. She also challenges her leadership to consider diversity more thoughtfully in everyday decisions. Her quiet leadership, demonstrated initiative, and results-oriented mindset, along with her extraordinary analytic capability and positive can-do attitude, have contributed directly to the success of the INA mission and the security of our nation. It is my honor to present the John W. Warner Homeland Security Award to Miyako Yerrick. Okay, go ahead. Come on. And I know Ken Weinstein was here earlier. Is he still here? So join us up here for the presentation of the award.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, first off, to INSA for hosting tonight. It's truly an honor just to be here, let alone to be receiving this prestigious award. As a native Virginian, I really appreciate getting the Homeland Security Award from Senator John Warner's namesake award. To everyone who helped put on this event tonight, thank you. I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There were tons of emails going back and forth. I know putting on an event of this size is difficult, so thank you really to everyone behind the scenes. My husband and sister are here filming, great. Thank you both. Also to my family who couldn't be here. I need a lot of support. I take more than just a family or a village to help raise me, so thank you to everyone who has helped over the years. I ask a lot of questions. I have life plan binders back from high school, so thank you to everyone who's given me advice over the years as well. I would not be here without all of you and all of your support. Finally, to Lindsay, who nominated me, thank you so much. I would not be here without you. You've done just everything for our whole mission center. I've grown as an analyst over the last 2 years because of you. Your quiet leadership and guidance has really just been life-changing, so thank you for everything you've done for me. We were asked to talk about inspiration, what inspires us, who inspires us. So I'm gonna do a little bit about where I grew up and kind of how I got here. I grew up in Annandale, just down the street, and there is a Hawaiian cultural school that I attended and taught at for many years, just in Shirlington. So it's, if anybody wants to learn how to dance hula, it's right down the street. And we would start each class with a phrase, "A'ohe pau ka ika ika halau ho'okahi," which means not all knowledge is found in one school. This is a way to remind us to be open-minded as we started to learn new material, whether it be hula dancing, language, playing the ukulele, or learning traditional skills like how to weave a flower lei, like I'm wearing tonight. I think about this phrase a lot, and I really try and incorporate it in everything that I do. And I also see it played out in real life with my friends. We all learn from many different schools, but we all work towards the same goal. Outside of work, I am also on the national Taekwondo team, and I was at a tournament this past weekend. I was talking with some of my friends, and they are all inspired by a very wide variety of things. One of them is trying to build a community for those who wouldn't have opportunities otherwise. Another teammate is inspired by their parents who immigrated to this country to give them a better life. Another is inspired by creating a future for her children. Another is inspired by basketball legend Kobe Bryant. Now, maybe you identify with one of my friends more than others, but it reinforces to me how even when we're all on the same path with the same goal, there are so many ways to get there, and we can learn a lot from each other and what inspires them. At DHS, I have had so many opportunities to learn from analysts on my team, analysts throughout the community, and traveling to visit partners in the field, and seeing issues firsthand. I feel very fortunate that I have had mentors and bosses like Lindsay who have let me learn in my own way, engaging with people from throughout the department. DHS has many components, so there's almost an endless amount to learn, and I feel like I'm just getting started, even though it's been a couple of years. Throughout the process of joining the government and learning how to be an analyst in our field, I try and remember to be open to learning from all aspects and all analysts, and just really trying to be open to everything. That Hawaiian phrase that I mentioned, "A'ohe pau ka ika ika halau ho'okahi." Not all knowledge is found in one school. Be open to learning from every source that you can. So in conclusion, whether you take inspiration from your community, your family, Kobe Bryant, I hope that you take away an openness to learning, especially from unlikely sources. Thank you again. It's been an honor to be here.
Miyako, congratulations. I can't begin to say the Hawaiian phrase, but not all knowledge is learned in one school. And I think that's something that really resonates with our community. It is that cognitive diversity, the diversity of thought, the diversity of backgrounds, skills, knowledge that makes our community so strong. So thank you for reminding us of that. And again, congratulations. And I think I have to add, I'm taking some inspiration from you this evening. So maybe I can get some training in how to, I love your flowers. So, and Chuck, thank you for that award presentation. So it is now my pleasure to welcome back to the stage INSA President Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg, who will present the Land Industry Award. Suzanne.
So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the 6 namesakes that have brought us here this evening, as well as former presidents of INSA, Ellen McCarthy and Chuck Alsop, who had the vision several years ago to create the INSA Achievement Awards. So thank you. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for you two. So a shout out. And suffice to say, I wouldn't be here either. So anyway, thank you, Tish. I am really in awe of the accomplishments of this evening's recipients, and the next recipient is no exception. It is my privilege to present the Edwin H. Land Industry Award to Sarah Von McPeak, who's the Senior Technical Specialist, Global Enhanced Geospatial Intelligence Delivery at Maxar Technologies. Unlike Elizabeth and Ellen, I found one thing, actually 2 things, that Sarah and I have in common. She majored in geology, and I took Geology 101 twice. And we're both from the South. Beyond that, Sarah's extraordinary technical proficiency with geospatial products and services, demonstrated leadership, and inspiring work ethic have not only greatly advanced Maxar's capabilities, they have also enhanced U.S. national security. She has provided mission-focused technical support and system integration to U.S. government users and organizations across multiple classification domains. In 2022, she single-handedly resolved approximately 5,000 technical support cases, and she delivered first-class training to thousands of users across 100 organizations from DoD, IC, federal, civilian, and foreign mission partners. She provided direct support to the Ukraine crisis via collaboration with NGA, the Department of State, congressional staff, and forward-deployed military personnel, as well as 140 Ukrainian users. Additionally, Sarah collaborated with U.S. embedded analysts, partnering with NATO, Panama Border Control, and German Special Operations intelligence teams. These efforts provided demonstrations, translated training, and improved technical exchanges in ways that improved current operations and enabled mission success. Her contributions expand to universities, NGA academic outreach, and military institutions focused on growing future GeoInt professionals. Ms. McPeak had supported the military on basic to advanced leadership courses, developing geospatial intelligence modules to support curriculum and doctrine. She is a consummate professional, subject matter expert, and trainer. And one other thing that really caught my attention of one of her many accomplishments is that during her free time, she raised over $40,000 to support hospice care. So she's also able to have a life and give back outside of her career. It is now my honor to present the Edwin H. Land Industry Award to Miss Sarah McPeak. And now, I'd like to ask Ron to also join us on stage for a photo.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. As some of my awardees have said, it's kind of difficult to be up here and talk about ourselves. But first and foremost, I would like to thank INSA for this beautiful event tonight. It's not easy to do something like this, and you've all made it seem effortless. I would also like to thank my fellow award recipients tonight. Hearing your stories, you're all inspiring, and I cannot believe that I get to stand on a stage with all of you tonight. I'm in honor. So I joined the intelligence community after I graduated from college and joined the military in 2015, the Army specifically. And as some of you might know, I ended up joining the Army because, well, the Air Force didn't call me back. It ended up being a very good thing in the end. After 4 years, I decided to get out and continue my career in the intelligence community, and eventually found my way to Maxar Technologies. So I wanted to research the namesake of this award tonight in preparation for my speech, and I learned a few very interesting things about Edwin H. Land. As a child, he would take apart appliances and objects around his phone to include his father's gramophone, which did not make him happy. Then, after he attended Harvard Business School Harvard for about a year, he decided to take a leave of absence. And during that time, he would actually sneak into the Columbia University laboratories at night to continue his work with polarized light. He later on invented inexpensive filters for polarized light, and then which became the Polaroid instant camera. Mr. Land also had a direct impact on photo reconnaissance and intelligence gathering efforts during the Cold War. He was a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, among many other awards and accomplishments. So, recognizing his dedication to achieving his goal, I saw that he had an intense passion for his work. And when I speak to employees at Maxar about the work that we all do, I see that passion. I see the joy when we speak about our programs and the impact that we have on the user community and our customers. So I work on the Global EGD team, or the Global Enhanced Geoint Delivery team, which provides imagery to US government mission partners and some foreign select partners as well. Now, the GEGD program has impacted the crisis around the world, to include Hurricane Ian last year, as was said, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and the recent earthquake in Turkey and Syria, just to name a few. I would like to thank the Global EGD team for being one of the absolute best teams I've ever worked on in my life. And I can't believe I have the pleasure of working with all of you every single day, and the passion that you bring to the work and to the user and to the customer NGA at the end of the day. And the leadership, both on the team and at the rest of Maxar as well, support and challenge us to strive for excellence day in and day out, which makes us better. I would like to thank Jason Angelis, who nominated me for this award, to Jennifer Kirscher, who endorsed that nomination, and to Bill Jones for giving me the opportunity here at Maxar. The enthusiasm that you all have for the mission and your leadership is truly inspirational. Most importantly, I want to thank my parents for coming out here tonight. Your love and support is the reason that I'm on this stage tonight, and I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for teaching me to be kind, and thank you for teaching me to be strong too. I love you guys so much. And after reviewing the contributions of who turned out to be Dr. Land to the intelligence community, I'm humbled to be the recipient of this award, and I will strive to uphold his example and his passion and his excellence. Thank you so much.
Note to self, don't follow Sarah. Sarah, as the former director of NGA, I know the importance of the GEGD program. Thank you for all that you are doing. And, you know, your research of Dr. Land, I think, is indicative of who you are and what you bring to anything you work on. And, you know, you mentioned his involvement in the Polaroid camera. He was also instrumental in the development of the U2, which most in this room know the importance of that program. And GEGD and everything that Maxar is doing, not only for NGA, but for our partners and for democracy in this world. Thank you. Well deserved. And now, last but not least, for our final award of the night, it is my pleasure to welcome Dan Drell to the stage to present the Sidney D. Drell Science and Technology Award. Dan.
Tish, thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. The first thing I want to do is emulate remarks by Ms. McPeak and Ms. Yerrick and say that my wife, Lois, in an earlier life used to be a meeting planner, and I heard a lot about what goes into putting on an event like this evening, and I think Peggy O'Connor and Hallie Morell and the INSA leadership and staff have done a fabulous job. So kudos to all of them. It's my honor now to present this award to Ms. Cameo Lance. Before I do that, though, I want to add my congratulations to the other awardees. You're an extraordinary group. And I also note, and I did this last year, and I offer accolades to INSA because I can do it again this year, that many of this year's awardees are women, 5 of the 6 of you. And while we in this country have room for improvement, certainly for the intelligence and national security sectors of our principal adversaries, and I will list Russia, China, Iran, and perhaps the Taliban, and those who think like them, who insist on devaluing women, I'd say keep it up. The only winners are going to be this country and our more enlightened allies. All of you are exceptional, deserving, have contributed significantly to our nation's security, and it isn't just enough to acknowledge that. We need to thank you for that too. So as principal investigator and lead for the RIA Space Activity Lunar Intelligence Team, Cameo Lance has led the development of a groundbreaking GPS-denied navigation product with powerful U.S. military intelligence and commercial applications. Well, I've got to tell you, I'm waiting for the commercial applications because my car could use it. In just 3 years, Ms. Lance has established lunar intelligence, a word I didn't know before, LUNINT, as a new INT. She also designed a small satellite architecture to survey cislunar space and a GPS-denied celestial navigation product that is now being studied for integration into various U.S. Air Force and U.S. Space Force platforms. Ms. Lance's drive to educate key players in government and industry has had enormous impact. Her efforts to make the U.S. government aware of LUNENT were critical in shaping congressional funding efforts, building awareness of adversary cislunar activities, and identifying solutions to mitigate the risks that adversary actions might pose. Indeed, Ms. Lance's enthusiasm for the topic and her ability to describe its highly complex technologies in an easy-to-understand manner, no small challenge, I can tell you, have been key to denying unhindered Chinese military action in cislunar space. She's quick to learn, adapt, she's quick to adapt, eager to learn, and is dedicated to the success of her team, which emulates many of the comments made by earlier awardees tonight, as well as Secretary Moultrie. Most of all, though, she's someone whose knowledge, passion, and solutions-oriented mindset are infectious and inspiring to all of those around her. Ms. Lance is a generational scientist, and it's my great honor to present her with the 2023 Sidney D. Durrell Science and Technology Award. And at this time, I would like to invite Colonel Eric Felt, Deputy Executive Director for the Space Architecture, Science, and Technology Directorate of the U.S. Space Force, to join me on the stage for the photograph.
Good golly gosh, it is an honor to be in this room with such distinguished colleagues and guests in the room tonight. And it's a privilege to accept this award, not just on behalf of my work, but on behalf of the team, because as we all know, it takes a team to do anything really large, and especially large enough to win an award for. Tonight's award was won on my account for a project called LUNENT. LUNENT is Lunospatial Intelligence, a new intelligence discipline for which this crowd might know is a very new idea. So tonight I wanted to tell you about a couple of things. One of them is the physics of cislunar space, and the second one is a really cool concept and a person that deserves a bit of a story. So to begin with, LUNENT, this definition, began 3 years ago as the collection of human-made intelligence in the cislunar domain and on the lunar surface. And LUNENT is hard to collect because of the location that you would otherwise collect this information in. So how we began this question was asking somebody who's now at the White House OSTP, or Office of Science and Technology Policy, I believe. And the question was, what is a Pearl Harbor-like event in space look like? And that response was, well, what if there's a satellite that goes out deep enough into space such that we don't have eyes on it? We lose the ability to see it, and it comes back into a retrograde geostationary orbit and is otherwise a sneak attack. Well, this trajectory exists, and we spent years identifying the mathematics, which is called astrodynamics, and things called manifold-derived trajectories, for which these satellites can surf on and enable them to do these things. So a bit on this manifold-derived trajectory concept, which is one of my favorites as a dark matter phenomenologist. Whenever we think of orbits currently, we think about circles and ellipses going around the Earth. But in deeper space, and whenever you consider the moon, it's then a three-body problem, and that mathematics is very hard to solve. About 20 years ago, we identified how to start solving that because the computing got better. So NASA started identifying these manifolds, and we haven't really brought them in to the IC or DoD side of things. But in order to do this trajectory, there is a solution for this manifold. And one of my favorite slides is literally spaghetti thrown up against a wall and what one of these trajectories looks like. That is to say that they're not circles and ellipses any longer. They literally look like spaghetti thrown up against a wall. They're so wacky. So what our team did was we identified one of these trajectories that enables this satellite to go out into cislunar regime, come back into this retrograde geostationary orbit, and collect information in the cislunar space. Does anybody have water by chance? That would be great. As I'll continue, however, so anybody on the water? Thank you, everyone, for the patience. So in order to collect this information, we have to do something, navigation in space. And for navigating in space, there's a concept called two-way ranging. And two-way ranging is using radio signals to literally, the telescope or the asset is constantly communicating back to Earth. James Webb Space Telescope, for example, constantly communicating, and Earth has to constantly communicate back to that satellite. And that communication is really loud and noisy. So what we can, thank you. Very kind. There are assets in space right now that are doing this, like James Webb, and there are also assets from other countries, for example, China. And the only reason that we know where these assets are going is because of this noisy communication navigation methods. So the product that we have now that I identified from a NASA project 20 years ago was something that enables a satellite to, instead of using this noisy method, it instead does everything on board using optical navigation. And so this has broader applications for GPS denied. We can use it on a variety of different platforms. And instead of being noisy, it enables that satellite to go through cislunar space. We named this product JAM. So that was the science side of things, and that was a bit complicated. Apologies for the water there. If you have questions afterwards, I'm happy to answer them. But a note on the person side of things, a bit of intelligence history that's really cool. We named the product the Jervis Autonomy Module in order to pay homage to Major Thomas Best Jervis, who was a cartographer in the 1850s during the Crimean War. And during that time, we hadn't had collected intelligence efforts yet. And so this gentleman was working under Everest, making maps of the Himalayan mountains, for example, and he brings this map of Crimea to the Queen and asks her, if she would like to use it, and she says yes. She delivered it to the generals and the infantrymen. And instead of losing men by the thousands because they were on the wrong side of the mountain, they won the war. And in response, the Queen developed the Topographical and Statistical Department, the first known collection of organized intelligence. About 100 years later, and that ends up turning into MI6. So to pay homage to the fact that knowing a domain and having a map of that domain wins wars, having good intelligence wins wars, and understanding that cislunar space isn't really far out there. It has implications to things and assets that are around Earth right now. We named this JAM, and I say thank you for this award, INSA and the intelligence community. I grew up in a small town in Florida, and this is my first time actually ever accepting an award, so thank you for bearing with me on this. And thank you to my letter writers and my team, Dan, and my dad who came all the way up from Florida, Tim Chrisman and Jeff Gossel, Steve Keith, the people that are in the room today that assisted with getting me here on stage, and everybody else that indirectly helped. Marianne Kramer, I saw that you came, and that's amazing. We're supporting each other, and there's an awesome women in intelligence community group of women who's also supporting. So if y'all aren't familiar, it's definitely worth setting up some side meetings there too. I'll say thank you now to INSA as well to complete my thanks and gratitude for this award on behalf of not just myself, but my team and the country. Thank you.
Wow. So I don't think this is the last award Cameo will be accepting. I think this is just the beginning. And for anyone who did not tear up this evening, there's probably something wrong with you. I will be in the bar later, and I can explain to you why this evening really should be inspiring to everyone in the room. And we just want to congratulate our 6 recipients. Before we get on to dessert, that is sponsored by Maxar, I would like to thank the Honorable Ron Moultrie. If my pen worked, I would have been taking notes about leadership. You gave us a lot to really think about and some really tangible takeaways, so thank you. And then INSA Chairwoman Tish Long, thank you for doing such a good job facilitating this evening's program. And sorry about the height of the podium. Clearly, they made this for people other than us. And then to our sponsors, Booz Allen, Esri, Hawkeye, 360, Maxar, Penn State Applied Research Laboratory, Peraton, Raytheon Intelligence and Space, Sims Software, and Spadero and Associates for ensuring that this evening was a success. And the INSA team, especially our lead policy intern, Hallie Morrell, who oversaw all the program logistics, multiple emails, and also helped present the awards this evening. Thank you, Hallie. And our events team, Toya Cribbs and Allie Bailey, for producing a flawless event and always are behind the scenes. And all those whose tireless support made this evening possible. And finally, thank you to our award recipients and their families for all they've done each day in service to our country. As we exit the reception, I ask that Ron Moultrie and our VIP guest stay behind for just a moment and join us on stage for some photographs with the recipients. The ceremony is now adjourned. Enjoy the celebratory reception sponsored by Maxar, and I look forward to welcoming you all to future INSA events.